Dear friends, subscribe to my channel Viral Story Hub.
Yes, please subscribe. We share fun stories.
If you so love it.
Thanks for watching.
The 20th of July in London is a holiday. According to The Sun, a couple of African descent gave birth to a white, blue-eyed blonde kid on Monday in London's Hampstead. Namachi Igiboro, a British national, has taken genetic specialists by surprise who declare the small girl is not an albino. We both just sat there staring at her after the birth, Ben, a 44-year-old customer service advisor, said after the birth. She's lovely, a miracle baby, said Angela, 35, of Woolwich, South London, beaming as she described her daughter. Ben described how he was very taken aback when Namachi was born, to the point that he joked, "Is she mine?" His explanation was as follows. Actually, the first thing I did was look at her and exclaim, "What the flip?" As the baby's elder brother and sister, both of whom are African-American, gathered around the little miracle at their South London home, Ben proclaimed, "Of course she's mine." Because neither Ben nor his wife Angela have any mixed-race family, history, genetic specialists have been perplexed by the birth of Namachi, a blue-eyed blonde whose name means beauty of God in the Nigerian couple's home country. It's possible that the baby's look was caused by pale genes that have been passed down through generations before reappearing. "My wife is loyal to me," Ben also stated emphatically. "Even if she hadn't been there, the baby wouldn't have looked like that at all." After the birth, we both just sat there staring at her for what seemed like an eternity, not saying anything. Angela, who's from nearby Woolwich, gave birth to Namachi at Queen Mary's Hospital in Sidcup, and doctors there have informed her parents that Namachi is absolutely not an albino. Ben, who moved to the United Kingdom with his wife 5 years ago and now works for Southeastern Trains, explained that his daughter doesn't seem like an albino child either, not like the ones I've seen back in Nigeria or in literature. Ben and his wife are both from Nigeria. She just appears to be a perfectly healthy white baby. "My mother is a black Nigerian, however she has a slightly fairer complexion than I do," he continued. "However, we are not aware of any white ancestors. We began to wonder if it was a result of a genetic twist." "However, what's with the long, curly blonde hair?" says the narrator. Professor Brian Sykes, head of the Department of Human Genetics at Oxford University and one of the country's foremost experts, described the birth as exceptional yesterday. "In mixed-race humans, the lighter form of skin tone may emerge in a child, and this can sometimes be strikingly different from the skin tone of the parents," he explained. "This may be the case in groups where there's been a great deal of genetic mixing, such as Afro-Caribbean people. In Nigeria, however, there is little mingling." Professor Sykes stated that both parents would have needed some type of white heritage in order for a pale version of their genes to be passed on to their children. "However, the hair is quite rare," he continued. "It's true that even the majority of blonde youngsters do not have blonde hair like this from birth." According to the expert, the most likely explanation was a previously undisclosed mutation. "The rules of genetics are complex, and we still don't understand what's going on in many cases," he said. After becoming a mother to twin children, one white and one black, in Nottingham 5 years ago, Kylie Hodgson is now expecting her third child. Kylie, who's now 23 years old, and her partner, Remy Horter, who's 21 years old, are both of mixed race. Despite this, the odds were believed to be 1 in a million. Following an error by a reproductive clinic, the Sun reported in 2002 that an American couple had Asian twins as a result. Angela, the mother of 3-day-old Namachi, who was delivered through cesarean section, acknowledged yesterday that she was speechless when she first saw her baby girl, who was delivered via cesarean. "I was thinking, what is this small doll?" she explained. "She's absolutely stunning, and I adore her. It makes no difference what color she is. She's truly a miraculous child." However, what on earth has happened here, says the author. Her husband related how their 4-year-old son, Chisholm, was even more perplexed than they were by his new sibling. "Our other daughter, Dumebi, is just 2 years old, so she's too little to understand," Ben explained. "Our son, on the other hand, keeps going over to look at his sister and then sits down, seeming perplexed. We're a black family," says the father. He gets a white sister all of a sudden. As Ben added, "Of course we're perplexed as well, and we want to know what's going on, but as we all know, life is a strange place. What's important is that she's healthy and that we care about her. She is a proud Nigerian British woman." "Congratulations to Angela and her family on the birth of their daughter," stated a statement from Queen Mary's Hospital. Another similar story happened also as black mother gives birth to 1 in a million white daughter with blue eyes and reveals strangers' questions whether they're related. When Sophia Blake gave birth to her daughter, Tiara, she expected her to bear more than a passing resemblance to her. She was not alone in this expectation, as many mothers are. Tiara's father, Christopher Perkins, age 60, a retired sales manager, is white, but the couple expected their newborn girl to be a mix of the two of them at the very least. As a result, they were taken aback when Tiara was born with white skin and blue eyes. As she grew older, they predicted that Tiara's hair and skin would get darker. As a result, everything has remained the same, and their kid has grown into an absolutely stunning young lady, albeit one with white hair and blue eyes. Doctors estimated that the chances of Tiara, 4, becoming as white as her father are 1 in a million. Tiara's father is African American. Although they're not physically related, the fact that the mother and daughter look nothing similar is causing confusion because many people do not believe they're even related. Furthermore, Miss Blake has a daughter, Danshai, 17, from a previous relationship with a black guy, and she too is a black woman like her mother, making the situation worse. It's impossible for Miss Blake, a marketing executive from Selly Oak, Birmingham, to go down the street with Tiara without someone making a passing observation. People simply don't believe Tiara's my daughter since she appears to be so dissimilar to me. When she was very small, it didn't bother me too much. However, as Tiara's gotten older, this has become more of an issue for her. Before I had Tiara, I didn't realize how strongly we all identify ourselves with being white or black, and the dilemma now is that Tiara comes from a black family, yet appears to be of white skin tone. Why don't we look alike, Mommy? She wonders all the time. I explain to her that she's of mixed ethnicity, but she finds it really perplexing. Miss Blake, who is estranged from her daughter's father, had hoped to give birth to a child with dark skin and afro hair, according to her doctor. Black skin is typically dominant, and my family, which is descended from Jamaica, is predominantly black, she explains. But at the very least, I imagine Tiara to be a hybrid of Christopher and my own characteristics. I was so taken aback by her birth that I asked the midwife, "Is she mine?" after she was delivered. I couldn't get over the fact that she was so pale and had blue eyes. Doctors said that there was a 1 in a million possibility that Tiara that was white, and that it was possible that my family had a white gene that had been dormant until now. Since then, Mom and daughter have been the subject of a barrage of questions and comments wherever they go. The authors read about white infants being born to black mothers previously, but the child retains the mother's afro hair and facial traits, which Tiara does not have. Her hair is naturally longer and straighter than most. I'm getting a little tired of having to explain that she's my daughter. Even doctors and instructors, on the other hand, appear perplexed. For example, when I recently went to our doctor's office, the doctor asked if I was Tiara's social worker or guardian, which I confirmed with her. I told him firmly that I was Tiara's mother, and he was visibly uncomfortable and apologized excessively. This happens all the time, I said. When Tiara entered school, she had to overcome a significant obstacle. When Tiara came out of class and called out Mom to me, I understood what these mothers who didn't know me were thinking, that Tiara needed to be taken in by a family. Because my mother, other daughter, Danche, and Tiara are all of a darker skin tone, the situation's even more evident when I go out with them. However, Miss Blake, who has chosen to speak up in order to raise awareness of the fact that mixed-race children can also be extremely white or very black, claims that she and Tiara are like peas in a pod when it comes to their personalities. We're both extroverts who are self-sufficient and have a quirky sense of humor, and after others get to know us well, they notice that we have a lot in common. Furthermore, she states that although she believes she's lovely, she's her mother's opinion, adding, "I am just so proud of her." How the color of a baby's skin is determined. Skin color is a very powerful illustration of genetic impact because it's so variable. Skin pigmentation is defined by the amount of the pigment melanin contained in skin cells, and the amount of melanin found in each cell is predetermined by the genetic code of each cell. There are an endless amount of distinct skin colors, which are referred to as phenotypes, to choose from. These skin tones range from black, dark brown, brown, light brown, and white skin tones, among others. In other words, the more melanin is expressed in each parent's genes, the darker a person's skin will be as a result of the accumulation of melanin over the course of his or her life. Because of this, the color of a baby's skin is usually determined by the quantity of melanin found in the parent's skin. It's possible, though not common, for dark-skinned parents to give birth to a pale-skinned kid and vice versa. This is especially true if the parents' or grandparents' skin tone is paler or lighter than the parents' or grandparents' skin tone. Thanks for watching.